National Crime Authority bomber is Dominic Perre, a callous, violent, evil, and remorseless man, his victims say. 9 family members of murdered Detective Sergeant Geoffrey Bowen and maimed lawyer Peter Wallis described their grief during sentencing submissions in the South Australian Supreme Court on Monday. Perre, 65, sat with his right arm in a sling, appearing to fall asleep for most of the 90-minute hearing. Live updates. Surprise appearance from Queen's childrenPerre was found guilty in June of murder and attempted murder over the 1994 NCA bombing and is serving a sentence for unrelated drug and gun offenses. He is expected to be sentenced on October 7. Genevieve Wallis, the only victim to present her statement in person, said she was 8 years old in 1994 when her father, lawyer Peter Wallis, lost an eye and suffered burns in his office where the bomb exploded. She said she was terrified after the bombing, which left her father traumatized, depressed and debilitated. The bombing had torn any sense of safety, belonging and privilege of being a child, and it sickens me that a blatant disregard for human life was sick and can exist within another human, Ms. Wallis said. Geoffrey Bowen's son Simon, who followed his father's footsteps into the police force, was 7 when he experienced the worst day of his life in March 1994. I struggle with the motive and relevance of your actions, Bowen said. You cause so much irreparable damage and suffering, all so you can grow some dope and walk about South Australia like a would-be gangster with your big black glasses. Read more. Strict rules in place for saying farewell to the Queen. You have never accepted or taken responsibility for your actions, even in the face of overwhelming evidence in a court of law. You are a stain on society. You have forever embarrassed and disgraced your family, your ancestors and generations to come. Geoffrey Bowen's widow Jane Bowen Sutton said her husband was killed on their 9th wedding anniversary and she had experienced never-ending grief. My life is defined as before and after the bombing, Bowen Sutton said. That day I told my 7- and 5-year-old sons that their much-loved dad had been killed and we would never see him again. I've relived that conversation for 28 years. I grieved for the loss of Jeff and the loss that he never had the opportunity to see his much-loved sons grow into thoroughly decent men they are today. There is no closure for us, no acceptance of Jeff's death, no forgiveness for this evil, abhorrent, cowardly act. Read more. Man murdered in Brisbane gym ambush. Geoffrey Bowen died from horrific injuries, including the loss of his left arm, while Wallis lost an eye and suffered severe burns on March 2, 1994. Perre was immediately identified as a suspect, but the first set of charges were dropped in September 1994. Wallis died in 2018 soon after Perre was charged. Prosecutor Lisa Dunlop called for no parole period in sentencing Perre, which could see a maximum of 2 consecutive life sentences. Defense lawyer Gilbert Aitken did not oppose a non-parole sentence but said Perre's health was failing following open-heart surgery after he collapsed at the verdict hearing in June. Aitken told the court that Perre sympathized with the families of the victims but maintained his innocence. Perre has lodged an application in the Court of Criminal Appeal to appeal the murder conviction.